You remember the moment you saved them, but they remember the shame of needing to be saved. To you, it was a bridge. To them, it became a debt. This is the helper resentment trap. You did not hurt them, but your kindness became evidence of a version of themselves they want to erase. And to erase that version, they have to turn you into the villain. Sign 1. The villain rewrite. Watch if they start describing your past help as control, pressure, or smothering. They are not just remembering it differently. They are changing the story so your kindness looks like an intrusion, and their betrayal looks like setting a boundary. They accepted your help in private. Then later they described it like control in public. Maybe you gave money, maybe you gave time, maybe you defended them when no one else would. Maybe you stayed on the phone when they were falling apart. But later, the record changes. Now you were too involved. Now you made them feel small. Now you always needed to be needed. That is the rewrite. They are deleting help from the story and writing control over it. The mistake is defending your goodness in their courtroom. You say, "But I was only trying to help." You say, "You asked me to be there." You say, "That is not what happened." But the more you explain, the more you accept the false frame. So use this shield. "I'm not available for a rewrite of what actually happened." Or say, "It's interesting that my help is now being framed as control." Then stop. No speech. No emotional trial. No begging them to remember correctly, because they are not forgetting the help. They are changing what the help means. But the rewrite is only the beginning. Sign 2 is how they use coldness to make you apologize for helping them. Sign 2. Post-crisis coldness. This is the social flinch. They reply slower. Their tone gets sharper. They stop checking in. They act irritated by the same care they once depended on. Before, your support felt like safety. Now, your presence feels like a receipt they do not want to look at. But stay fair here. Coldness alone is not proof. People get busy. People get awkward after a hard season. Some people do not know how to return to normal after being seen at their lowest. Coldness alone is not the sign. Coldness plus a rewrite is the sign. If they get colder and the story starts changing, now you have a pattern. Your mistake is chasing the old warmth. You help more, you soften more, you try to restore the connection by giving more of what worked during the crisis. But that is how the trap tightens. Do not double down on kindness to fix coldness you did not create. Say this: "I noticed the shift. I'm going to give this some space." Or, "I'm not going to chase warmth that disappeared when the crisis ended." The test is not how they treated you when they needed you. The test is how they treat you after they recover. And if you chase the old warmth with more help, you may walk straight into sign 3. They start treating your kindness like something you now owe. Sign 3. Entitlement creep. At first they asked. Then they expected. Then they acted offended when you were not available. Your generosity becomes the new baseline. Your sacrifice becomes normal. And your boundary becomes the betrayal. This is where you need the sentence. A pattern of kindness is not a contract. Say it clearly. "I helped before. That does not mean I am permanently available." Do not decorate it. Do not apologize for having limits. And do not add a long explanation just to make the boundary sound nicer. The longer the speech, the more material they have for the rewrite. They do not owe you lifelong gratitude. But they also do not get to turn your help into permanent access. The mistake is guilt. You think, "Maybe I made them dependent. Maybe I should help one more time. Maybe if I pull away now, I become the bad person." That is how entitlement keeps collecting interest. So the shield is, "My past help does not create a permanent obligation." If they treat your kindness like a bill you must keep paying, the issue is no longer gratitude. It is access. And this is where the trap gets darker. At first they rewrite the help. Then they rewrite the roles. They are waiting for one mistake. One small boundary, one tired moment, one delayed reply. So they can claim they were the ones who survived you. That is the victim replacement. The helper becomes the threat, and the person who received the help becomes the survivor of your so-called control. This is not about collecting repayment. It is about recognizing when help is being turned into evidence against you. And one of the first ways they make that new role believable is by trying to pull you down to their level, or below it. Sign 4. The equality strike. They start competing with you after they recover. They downplay your wins. They mock the advice they once needed. They act superior in the areas where they used to ask for guidance. They make little status comments. They treat your success like an insult. You do not see it yet, but this is not confidence. It is a scoreboard correction. They do not want a relationship where you remember helping them. They want a new scoreboard where they can prove they never needed you. So they do not just try to grow. They try to make you smaller. The mistake is shrinking. You stop mentioning your wins. You act smaller. You keep giving emotional discounts. So you try to make them comfortable with the season when they needed you. But their discomfort with being helped is not your assignment to become less visible. Use this shield. I'm not going to make myself smaller to make this history easier for you. Or, we do not need to compete over who needed what. The equality strike is not growth. It is shame trying to rewrite the scoreboard, and the final trap arrives when you stop playing your assigned role. The moment you set a boundary, they use it as proof that your kindness was fake. Sign 5. The Boundary Betrayal. You finally say no. You finally step back. You finally stop giving automatic access. And suddenly, they act like you abandoned them. They say, I thought you cared. They say, you changed. They say, so now you're too good for me? They say, you only helped so you could feel superior. Now your boundary becomes retroactive evidence. Your no becomes their proof that your earlier yes was fake. This is the exit trap. The villain rewrite was the entry point. The boundary betrayal is the cage door closing. If you remove the boundary, they regain access. If you keep it, they call you cruel. That is why you have to stay steady. Your no does not erase your yes. A boundary does not rewrite the help. It only ends the access. Say this: my boundary is not betrayal. Or, I can care about you without being available for this. And if they keep dragging you into the false version, use the harder line. I'm comfortable with the story as it actually happened. Then stop arguing. Because if someone needs endless access to believe you are kind, they are not asking for kindness anymore. They are asking for control over your availability. The goal was never to become colder. The goal was to become harder to rewrite. Wisdom does not make you less kind. It makes your kindness harder to weaponize. In the helper resentment trap, they don't hate the help. They hate the record of needing it. So keep helping people who can receive help without punishing you for the moment they needed it. And step back from people who need to make you the villain just to feel free. Because when someone resents your help, they usually do not keep the rewrite private forever. They start looking for an audience to validate the new story. If they have already rewritten you in private, they may be rewriting you in public next. Watch this next to see how someone turns the room against you before you even walk in.